I was having a conversation with Marianne about identity, gender, transgender, the TV series Sense8, and how I was telling her about the dynamic liquid identities and then transcending identity. And then I remembered one day that I was walking, and many times I have like many ideas or imaginations or moments lived in milliseconds that gives me like some information, and it was like I had half of my face almost missing and with scars and everything. It's easy to say that I didn't feel bad because it's bad, it's not real, but that's not the way I live my life. In my life, it's much more important when I know how I feel than what really happened in real 3D world. And I was asking her all the time, well, how did you feel in that specific moment? When this thing happened to you, when that, for me, they are only words. They don't mean anything. It can be all the positive and negative your rational mind wants to give me. But when you tell me what you feel, if you are honest, you are giving me the information. If for whatever reason you are not honest with yourself because you are hurt or ashamed or in danger for many, many different reasons, people are not truly honest with others. But for very few people, for very few reasons, probably none, people who should never be no honest to themselves. That's the first step to live in a much more complex, complicated, dense, and deeper life. So don't chase illumination, enlightenment, because that's the beginning of what you're gonna find. And your life until that moment has ended. You burn it, and then you are born like a phoenix bird. Talking about these things and my face being how I feel, being the eyes looking to the outside. When you open the eyes, you see this reality, but with no eyes, you are in all the realities, like Stevie Wonder on every stage. Who knows where he is connecting? For sure, not with every individual in the audience, because he has no idea what the audience is. So important to be conscious of who's inside this skull, controlling, like in Wizard of Oz, right? And filtering the reality. And talking about that, it took me to another moment in my life when I was 14. And I was telling her, my sister, how old were you when you had chickenpox? And she said, I don't know, maybe 7. Your sister, 5. Who was worse in the varicella virus? Don't remember. Okay, my sister was 5. I was 14. My sister had 5 spots. My other sister was 10. She had maybe 25 spots. My brother was 12. Maybe he had 40, 50. And maybe I had 65, 70. With more fever, more everything. That was for 4 days. All of them were healed. I went to the second stage, varicella galopante, where all my body was blisters, wounds, and the cicatrice, the costra. I don't know the name of costra. So, itchy everywhere, inside my mouth. in all over my head, in my ears. Well, I had the like bullets, one in my ribs and the other one in my forehead. I never thought about this, but as a awareness of inside the body, because it took me to that, is that I remember very well the first time when everybody was healed for whatever. I don't know how it was the day before. Maybe I went to a different toilet, but I remember the first time entering in my parents' toilet that we had a curtain in the bathtub, but they had two doors which were mirrors. So it doesn't matter. I went to pee. Maybe if I go to pee to my bathroom, I wouldn't see myself because I never look in the mirrors. But that day it was one mirror, big mirror here, and the other big mirror there. And when I look at myself, I was a completely monster. I didn't recognize who was that in that. I only knew that it was me because I was in front of the mirror. But I couldn't see any part of my skin. And then I just felt strange. And then I look closer, and then I recognize myself when my eyes spoke with my eyes. And that's it. It's the only memory that I have of that moment. And then I went back to school. And then when I was 15 and older, from time to time, I had the cold sore, which is the continuation of that virus. Today, I read something that I was questioning because I had so many pains all my life, but especially after 30 years old. But when I was 17, when I was 19 in the United States working in a restaurant, the first time I had pain in my back, and then I was working 6 days. I was 19 years old, one day off, and I spent it in bed because of the ache all over my body. And my sister has fibromyalgia, and for some way, some kind of strange thought came to my mind and said, what if what I've been doing, because I'm always like very tired, but I'm always forcing myself to exercise, to do things, because otherwise it's like losing all the energy and getting dehydrated and disappearing and finally dying or getting born again. I don't know. But all these pains that people tell me, well, I've seen x-rays of other people that their bones are much worse than you and they don't come with this pain. Yours is emotional or some problems that you have with your life or whatever. I said, I have been through all kinds of life, and for me, I always feel the same way. And everything is so relative. So what if this had something to do with that? I asked artificial intelligence, and it was telling me about the problem of what the virus means for the nerves. And I had blisters everywhere, all over my body, everywhere. In my head, they were falling, the costras, for weeks, all over my body. And the first one was the last one. The first one, who was the biggest one, was like this size. That last the longest. I was 2 weeks with varicella galopante. There was even a joke when I went back to school because it was after 2 weeks. Nobody had a varicella for 2 weeks. And when I read today all these things, connecting that they said that the pain can be symmetric, and I have pain here. When I broke this bone, yeah, I also had lots of accidents, but it's not normal. all the pains that I always suffered. So they come and go, they are symmetric, and the doctor sent me to rheumatologist. And the rheumatologist just told me that the other doctor did good because of some of the symptoms, but none of the parameters in the blood and anything had anything with reuma. Okay. And then the next one is going to be bones, but maybe the next one should be something for the nerves. I don't know if it is the neurologist. But it doesn't matter because it doesn't have, I don't think there is a treatment, and probably it's a sickness that nobody knows. So I've been living most of my life with this, that probably is the alarm of awareness, the one that is the frontier and the border of your body, mind, soul, matryoshka, through the pain, through the awareness while as a child practicing mind control, going to my wonderland. My wonderland was any place, any moment, in different moments of my life. It could be snorkeling with being 12, it can be being 6 on the grass, or any age in a cloud. What if awareness is also the capacity of autodiagnosis and what I suffer is a not registered sickness, and maybe it's not only in the nerves, but that virus is on every single nerve that infects. And I had the blisters all over my body. And maybe, I don't know if that is the reason why I get blisters when I get burnt in my chest. It happened 4 or 5 times in my life. Then I put cream factor 50 and or a t-shirt, or be very careful, but I don't know, and I don't care. I know what I suffer, which is chronic pain. That as a child, when I had headaches, instead of hitting my head against the wall and losing consciousness, I went into Silva method, mind control, relaxing, and going to my laboratory, my wonderland. And then in there, you don't get rid of the pain. You are embracing the pain, living with the pain, accepting the pain. But that doesn't make me a fakir. I'm not attracted by pain. I'm not maybe I'm afraid of pain. But I don't think so. Maybe I ignore it. That's what I've been doing before having it, during having it, and after having it, because it's not constant, always on the same, because sometimes you break different parts of your body and the pain is in some place, but it's like Stephen Hawking had Ella, I don't know the initials in English. John Nash had schizophrenia. Einstein's son developed schizophrenia. And maybe it's the secondary effect of metaphrenia.